Happy Wednesday, everybody. And it is mid-June. Can we believe it? I'm pretty sure this is my last week of school, right? Because it's the 20s and I'm done June 26th. So it is so close to summer for me. I act very excited, but summer home with the two littles is very exciting and it's fun, but it's a lot of work. So summer's definitely nice. And I know everyone hates on teachers for having summers off, blah, 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 but it's definitely not the easiest time. Remember, if you're a mom and you have little kids and you're a teacher, you actually never have a day off without your children. So I know we're supposed to love our kids so much and, you know, they're our world, but never having a day off without them is sometimes a little sad, right? So, like, my husband's a police officer. He can take vacation like 60 days out of the year. He usually takes it at a week at a time. When the kids are in school, he has some time off without the littles. I never do. Every school break, every weekend, every summer, they are there. And I love them, but it's a little much, right? So I'm very excited for it, though. They are at a really fun age. So it's not as hard. It's more fun. Definitely plan on doing a lot of things with them. My husband lifeguards on Fire Island. If you are not from New York, look it up. It's a really cool place. And he plans on taking my son with him a good amount this year, which will be really awesome. Um, okay, so jumping into today's theme. Today's going to be a little bit of two things, right? I kind of didn't have a set thing I wanted to talk about, but I had two topics that have kind of been coming up recently in my DMs and conversations in real life that I wanted to address. It's going to be a quick one, but the two things are one, comparison, and then two, how I've kind of been treating my diet with being, I guess at this point, I shall be almost 20 weeks pregnant, so halfway there. So the first thing with comparison, right? So a lot of the times I'll get DMs, and more so lately, I think because I'm pregnant, about how, like, recently, right, I put up a picture of me in a bathing suit and said, summer bump 2024. I was 18 weeks pregnant when I put it up, and I definitely have a belly. Like, if any mom out there knows, you get a belly a lot earlier with each pregnancy that you have. But it's not, it's not massive. And I had a couple people DM me and be like, geez, like, you look better than me and you're 18 weeks pregnant. Like, your stomach looks better than me and you're 18 weeks pregnant. Or, you know, I've been doing the macro thing for a year and your stomach still looks better than me. Just comparing their bellies to mine. Now, I know none of these were said probably with 100% like seriousness, but they definitely meant them in an aspect, right? And I want to touch on that because I get it a lot. Being, a mother who's been through multiple pregnancies, I'm not a young chicken anymore. I'm 35. Um, a lot of people will compare themselves, right? Like, how can you eat 2,600 calories a day? That's crazy and not gain weight. Or like, you go to Taco Bell on your birthday and get $40 worth of food. Like, how do you not gain weight? Or just all sorts of things where they kind of ask me how I do things, but it doesn't work for them. And what I want to harp on here, right, and what I answered to that specific woman who was like, oh my God, like, you look better than me, and you're 18 weeks pregnant. How can this be? Is that I've been doing this for over 5 years very consistently. And it takes time, right? Like, even if you are a consistent year into this lifestyle change, you're a newbie, you're a pup. And I know that sucks and it's not sexy and it stinks to not see instant gratification because that's what we are so used to now. But that's the truth, right? I say 5 years and it's actually probably been longer than that. Like, I've been pretty dialed in to nutrition now since 2018, 19. Yes, my fitness hasn't always been as regimented as it was, right? I was a boot camp, sweat as much as you can, but very intense kind of worker outer. But I've been eating macro-ish friendly now very consistently, and especially for the last 3 years. Since Rory's been born, I have been very dialed into my nutrition. And that's not saying that I don't go to Fire Island to a bar and have 21 high noons like I did on June 23rd, 2023 last year. and that happened. But 93% of my year is adherent, right? I get 10,000 steps easily every day. For 5 years now, if I look back at my watch, my average step per day is probably 11, 12,000, right? That's just what it is. If I look back at my MyFitnessPal for the last 3 years, I'm within 96% of my goals. If I look back at my workout tracker for the last 5 years, I've worked out 4 days a week for 5 years, right? So you can't compare yourself to people that you are not on the same journey as, right? So all these influencers online, first of all, if you're 40 years old, stop looking at 20-year-olds. Just stop. Unfollow them right now. There is nothing you are getting from them besides anger, resentment, jealousy, comparison, feeling bad about yourself. Unfollow them. Nothing they are doing in their life comprehends, or not even comprehends, but nothing correlates, that was it, to yours. Nothing. Stop. It is waste. Like, I go through my Instagram weekly and get rid of people that just doesn't make sense, doesn't bring joy, doesn't help me out in a positive light. There's no point of me following people that make me go, oh man, why can't I look like that, or something like that. It just doesn't make any sense. I don't follow people that are under 30 years old. Their lives are very different. Guess what? They didn't get two babies sliced out of their core. Their stomach is probably flat as a board, right? They don't have two jobs. They don't have a mortgage to pay. They don't have dishes and laundry to do. It's just not similar. No point. Also, like I said before, you have to be honest with yourself. If you are a year into this and you are super dialed in, again, you are still a young pup. This is still the rookie year of your lifestyle change. You also have to really assess how adherent you've been. So this particular woman that made that comment has been attempting macros now for a year, but yet has not found consistency, like in the slightest. I'd say over a year, I don't even know if we've hit our macros once, right? So yeah, like that's why you don't look the way you want to look. And not saying you don't have obstacles, and not saying there's not hard days, but we can't wish for something that we're not taking action for. Right? We can't. It would be like me starting my business last March and 1 year in being like, what the fuck? Why can't I buy a yacht like Jeff Bezos? He owns a company and I own a company. Right? How ridiculous does that sound? Because I started a nutrition company in my basement 1 year ago. I'm comparing myself to the guy who, owns Amazon. We are very different people. We have very different lives, very different journeys, but we do the same thing. We own a company, right? Again, like, once we use a different comparison outside the health and fitness world, sometimes things make a lot more sense. And that's what we often do so much. We compare ourselves to these people that we actually have nothing in common with, besides the fact that we both might count carbs. And that's it. And honestly, some people don't even count them all that much. So stop looking at other people. Stop looking at your coach and saying like, well, why can they eat so much? Why can they have more fun? Why can they go out to eat more and still look fit? I've earned it. And that's not to pat myself on the back. I don't put myself on a pedestal at all. I've just put more time in, right? I'm just more of a veteran and I'm more consistent, right? When you get 5 years of consistency under your belt, your life's going to change too. You're going to have more freedoms too, right? So I say this a lot to my clients when they go out to eat and when they have drinks and stuff. Like, even if they're in maintenance, right? So maintenance is a tricky word because the maintenance phase is when you're maintaining your body weight. And when you're eating the same calories as you're exporting, right? You're putting in the same amount as you're putting out. That's maintenance. But for a lot of people, even when they're in maintenance, they can't really afford to just maintain, right? Maintaining means that you're happy with how you look and you want to maintain it, right? Before I got pregnant, I was maintaining, but I liked my physique. I liked the way I looked. I was content. If I put on a couple pounds of muscle or something, great, but I was content. There wasn't any changes I was trying to make. If you are in the phase of trying to make changes, Sacrifice has to go along with that, and more than most. All right, if you're trying to accomplish a specific goal, if you're trying to lose a certain amount of weight, trying to lose a certain amount of inches, fit into a size pair of jeans, maintenance is the term we use, right, when we're not cutting, but you're still not trying to maintain. You're still trying to make changes. And when you're trying to make changes and chase a goal, there has to be sacrifice. It is without a doubt. You cannot do the same things you were doing and expect to make changes. It just doesn't make any sense, right? So eating meals out, drinking booze, taking a nap instead of going to the gym, those are all things that are not going to help you get those changes. So yes, when we're in maintenance, we can enjoy a couple more meals out because we have higher calorie count. We can have a drink or two because we have a higher calorie count, right? So you have 2,100 calories to eat. You can fit a drink in there or so. But guess what? That drink, not helping you lose any body fat. That drink, not helping you grow any muscle. That meal out you have, you're probably going over your caloric allotment for the day. No matter if you saved 1,000 calories or not, you're probably eating more. So for me in maintenance, I do have that flexibility because I'm literally not trying to change anything. I'm staying put. For most people who come to a coach, when they're maintaining, they're still trying to make body composition changes. They're still trying to lose inches, grow muscle, lose body fat. And when that's the case, you have to cut back on meals out. You have to cut back on booze. You have to get that booty moving. You have to go to the gym more, right? You don't have as much flexibility because you're in the grind. You're in the process of trying to chase that goal, right? And I know that's like, oh man, this is so much work, but like I was there too, right? Like I was also walking that same path you did 5 years ago when I knew I needed to change, or when I was hitting 200 pounds on the scale. I also was in your shoes. Like I had to really cut back on drinking. I had to really cut back on meals out. I couldn't miss the gym. I had to go for extra walks. I had to sacrifice more. But that's life, right? You have to sacrifice more in the journey to your goal, right? Like think of anybody that has a successful career, or even like a famous singer. You always hear stories about them like sleeping in a van and doing gigs for $5 and doing a gig for free as long as they got a meal, and wearing the same clothes for a week and really slumming it until they put in the time, they got noticed, they got to their goal, and now they're living comfortably. It's the same journey for health and fitness. For my newbies, for my people trying to lose 100 pounds, for my people trying to get down to a size 6 jean rather than a size 12, you're in it. You're in the hard work phase. And it will slow down eventually, and eventually you will have more freedoms and flexibility, but you haven't earned it yet. And I know it's a lot of work, and I know it takes time, more time than most people want to give. That's why we go to easy fixes. But you can't compare yourself to someone who's 6 years ahead of you, right? Just again, compare it to anyone in your work life or on any kind of journey that you started before them. All right, think about a kid riding a bike. You have two kids, one's 12, one's 4. Imagine your 4-year-old comparing themselves to your 12-year-old riding a bike. Your 12-year-old can ride with no hands. Your 4-year-old has training wheels on. All right, you would never expect your 4-year-old to be crying because they can't ride a two-wheeler with no hands at the age of 4, right? Like if they started crying and saying that, you'd be like, Susie, it's okay. Like you haven't put as much time in. You haven't had enough practice. You're younger. You're newer in this journey. It's okay. Right? You say those words out loud to your kids, but yet like when you look at health and fitness and you compare yourself to some, fit person online, you think you should be even with them. They started riding a bike a long time ago. You're in that process now of falling off, scraping your knee, learning, okay? And you will get there. You will be that 12-year-old riding a bike with no hands and, listening to music, but it's going to take time. I, unfortunately, never got to that 12-year-old riding a bike with no hands. I'm a 35-year-old who can't even hold coffee and ride a bike, but hey, I count my macros. So that is just my little spiel on comparison. One, we have to self-assess a lot harder. Think about the choices you make and think about the choices the person makes that you're comparing yourself to. I don't want to be the dick, but you're probably not making the same choices, right? Like the other day, I got Taco Bell for my kids. My son gets a quesadilla, my daughter gets cheesy roll-ups. I didn't get anything. Another person I was with did. Okay? They don't love the way they look. I'm confident in the way I look. But there's a small choice right there, right? Small. But they add up. So just look in the mirror and the person you're deciding to compare yourself to. Are you walking the same life? Are you counting macros every day? Are you hitting the macros you should be? Are you limiting your meals out? Are you limiting your booze? Are you going to the gym and doing progressive overload? Are you doing the same things they're doing? If you are, have you been doing them for as long? Have you been doing them as consistent? If you are, then fine. Bitch and complain because it's not fair. I'm going to have to assume you don't even get to that part. All right, because you're not making the same choices. You're not on the same time frame. All right, so stop comparing, start doing, start fixing. If you're upset with where you are, change it. All right, and then the next little topic that I'm going to talk about is just like a little bit of an update on my pregnancy, because a lot of people actually have been asking me like, oh, how have you changed your macros for you being pregnant? Now, I am pre and postnatal certified, so I work with plenty of women that are pregnant, plenty of women that are postpartum. I obviously myself am pregnant. I actually worked with Coach Steph when she was pregnant, so been there, done that, and everyone is different. Okay, there's a couple of hard rules that I am a big believer in, is that you should never be in a purposeful cut when you're pregnant, nor if you're nursing, right? I will never put any postpartum client into a cut if they are nursing. You can almost go into a natural cut a little bit just from how many calories you burn while you nurse. And then I would never put a client into a cut anywhere shorter than 3 to 4 months postpartum, right? You have to heal. Even if you think you had the easiest delivery in all the world, your body has to heal. Depriving your body of nutrients when you are sleep deprived, stressed, never a good thing. So those are really the only hard rules that I think pregnancy needs to follow. And then from there on out, everyone's very unique. For instance, like me, right? I am still tracking my macros. I enjoy it. I like the data. I like the numbers. I find it very comforting. I like, again, looking at it, something that I probably will do forever. Even if it's not as accurate in the sense that I don't weigh every single item, I like entering my food for the day, just how it is. So when I got pregnant, there was no part of me that thought I would stop tracking. If I was to eat intuitively, I'd probably be pretty good, to be honest, because I just really love protein. When I first started counting macros, my coach was actually surprised that I was one of the few females that was eating protein pretty significantly. I like it. So it's a source that I'm good at. I would definitely undereat fat, and I'd probably undereat because I still have a little bit of that mentality of being scared of carbs, right? It's just like ingrained in us. So it's nice for me to see numbers. Now, especially in the first trimester, I didn't hold myself to a hard line with macros, right? Like if I really was hungry, I ate. If I didn't feel well, I didn't shove food down my face. So even though I was counting, I wasn't like a stickler. My coach knew this as well. As the pregnancy has progressed and my 1 ounce of morning sickness has gone away, I'm still not a stickler with my macros, right? I'm obviously trying to hit certain numbers, but as long as I really hit my protein and my calories are close, I'm content. I have not raised my calories. One, because I was already eating a lot, right? I am not afraid of food. I was eating 2,200 calories before I got pregnant. That is a lot. That's a good amount of food for someone who's 5'3". So I didn't raise them. Now, I definitely went above that on some days in the first trimester because I was just hungry and I wanted carby food, and that was that. but I have not felt myself being ravenous or hungry where I would need to go up. My little lady is growing perfectly. I'm healthy. She's healthy. Blood works come back great. Heart rates are great for both of us. Blood pressure is great. Weight gain is normal. So everything is fine. I feel good. I don't need to just increase food because um, people say, you're eating for two. Yeah. And I always respond, well, that second person is 4 ounces. So you don't really need that many more calories. Now, if I was someone that just found a coach pregnant and the coach assessed me and I was eating 1,500 calories a day, then yes, like I would move that person up because they're very, very low. They're very low for not being pregnant. So it all kind of depends on where you're starting from. It also has a lot to do with your weight, right? If you are overweight and pregnant, we don't want you gaining a ton more weight. It's a lot on you, it's a lot on baby. If you are underweight by a lot, we want to make sure you're fueled and, having enough energy for you and baby. It's very important your health during pregnancy because you're not only concerned with your health, but you're literally growing a human and their gut biome and their bacteria and everything. So your nutrition, I know it's harder to do than we would like because of aversions and nauseous and sickness and all that stuff, but it's so important when you're pregnant, right? I have clients or potential clients come to me sometimes and they're like, well, why don't I just wait till after I'm done pregnant? And I'm like, if anything, like these 9 months are the most important 9 months. Like, stop counting macros once that baby's out of you and it's just you. But right now, you're in charge of two people. That second person is really important. So now, if anything, we should definitely be tracking macros and seeing what you're eating and making sure you're fueling you and little one correctly. So, with that being said, right, I haven't raised my calories yet. As the pregnancy goes on, you are supposed to raise a little bit more and a little bit more. Truthfully, in the first trimester, you don't even have to eat anything extra. Um, Second and third is a little bit different. You should go up around like 200 in the second, maybe up to like 400 in the third. Again, all depending on how you're feeling. I don't think we should force feed calories just because we're growing something. If everything's coming back good and we feel good and we're able to go throughout our day with energy, then clearly you're doing something right. So as of right now, I don't plan on raising calories. If and when I do, which I'm sure I will, I'm probably going to keep protein the same because I already eat pretty high protein, 170 grams. I'm going to probably raise fat because, you know, insulin levels and glycemic index and gestational diabetes is a thing. And if you were to really raise carbs, you could possibly, mess around with that a little bit. And that's not something I want to do. But again, with that being said, I eat 220 grams of carbs a day. So it's not like I'm eating 150 grams because I'm nervous. I am eating plenty of carbs. I just don't really want to go any higher right now. So I'd probably raise fat, which is also good for PCOS, right? I have PCOS, so my insulin resistance is a little wonky anyway. I should be eating more fat in my diet anyway, which I stink at. So this is a good way for me to practice. So fat will probably go up, and that's about it until I give birth. And then when I nurse, which I hope happens again, I nursed my first two kiddos for a long time. I will definitely raise calories because every mom here who knows nursing, you are a ravenous bear. Um, I honestly never felt insanely hungry when I was nursing, but again, it's because I do eat a lot. So women that eat 1,300 calories a day and then they go to nurse, they're going to be starving. I eat 2,200 calories a day. So, my starving is not that bad. And I eat a lot of protein, so I'm pretty satiated. I definitely notice that I get hungrier, but I don't need to raise my calories up to 3,000 just because I'm nursing. But that's something I will definitely do. I will raise my calories when I nurse. Fat is always good for milk production. I will also raise my water intake because you're also very, very thirsty. But for right now, my nutrition is pretty basic. I have zero food aversions. Shocker. My cravings are nothing. So I think I was craving citrus fruits in the beginning. I don't know if I just really wanted them. I'm still eating a good amount of fruit, but that's just what I do anyway. So I'm normal. I'm basic. I'm hitting my protein, hitting my carbs, hitting my fat, eating, sometimes a little bit more fun food. Like I got Ralph's the other day. Delicious. But that's it. Staying the same. And that's why once I have this little peanut, it'll be pretty easy for me to transition back to normal. Again, all about consistency. This could be a time where I texted my coach and I was like, all right, I'm out. I'm going to quit, or I'm going to stop coaching because I'm pregnant and I can't really, there's so many things going on. But guess what? There isn't. It's actually pretty easy for me to just get here, not use it as an excuse, and keep going, right? There are a lot of reasons that we could quit, right? Oh, summer's here. That is going to be harder. I'm going to quit. Oh, the holidays are here. I'm going to quit. Oh, I'm going on 2 vacations in 2 months. Let me quit or pause and then I'll come back. Like these things are going to happen for the rest of your life. So are you going to pause and then start, pause and then start, pause and then start, and then compare yourself to someone who's been going strong for 5 years? Look at me making that connection between my two topics today. But it's true, right? Think about all the times you've paused and then started a lifestyle change or a diet. It's probably a lot, right? For some of us, it's every fucking Monday. And then we sit back and we compare ourselves to someone who's been going for 5 years. Pausing and starting hurts us. Just learn how to figure out life. You're going to get pregnant. You're going to be busy. You're going to travel. Jobs are going to go bonkers sometimes. You're going to change jobs. You might even move houses. You might move across the country. You might get divorced. You might have 2 children's weddings back to back. None of those are reasons to quit on your health. Those are reasons to learn how to figure them out and figure out how to dial back maybe the gym because you have other things on your plate, but keep your macros in check. You know what? Or dial down here and turn this one up. Right? There's absolutely no reason that I can think of where quitting on your health makes sense. 0. So that is today. I hope, again, if you're not pregnant, I hope these are still just informative. It's always good to learn because someone in your life is going to be. And then the comparison game. I know we all do it. I do it. All right. I look at people who own businesses and I compare. I look at people with bodies that I wish I had and compare. But then I let it pass. I realize that, okay, we're very different people. We're on different journeys, different time frames. So maybe one day I will be there. Or maybe one day I won't ever be there because they're 22 and they've been, not taking hydroxycut and they were actually informed about diet and health. You know what? And that's okay. We're all freaking different. And like I said, if you wouldn't tell your 4-year-old to try and ride a bike like their 12-year-old sibling, then stop telling yourself that you should look like someone who you're not. And don't be afraid to look in the mirror and give yourself an honest assessment. All right? I have not been doing what I need to do to look like that person or to have the physique that I want to have. Because in reality, you're never going to look like any person. All right? I could want hips so bad. And I could try a hip journey for 7 years. I'm never going to get hips. It's the way I'm built. So I could try and look like Kim K as much as I want. And without some surgery, it's not happening. All right? I have no hips. Just how it is. So you're never going to look like someone. You're built differently. There are constraints. But the body that you want in your skin takes time, takes work, takes effort. Most of us want to be toned with muscle. That takes eating. Extra calories than you burn so your body can put on muscle. Everybody hear that? You can't starve yourself and get toned. Okay? You can't lift an 8-pound weight and get toned. Well, I guess you could, but you'd have to lift it about 500 times, and I don't think we have time for that. So assess yourself, be honest with yourself, stop comparing yourself to someone who you are not making the same exact choices as. And then for my pregnant ladies or people planning to get pregnant, you don't need to follow a blueprint. You should get help. You should get guidance. That's what I'm here for. Okay, but it's all about how you feel, right? And we should still really take into consideration nutrition goals while we are pregnant, because you are not responsible just for one person. You're responsible for 2. So have a lovely Wednesday. Next week, I will be talking to you from summer vacation 2025. How exciting! And I hope everyone, especially my teachers, praise be. Last week, you got this, especially my elementary school teachers who have actually had to teach this whole time. I've been done with classes for a week now, so you're the real hero. And everybody else, if you're not a teacher, I don't want to fucking hear it that teachers have it easy. Because you know what? Life's all about choices. And guess what you could have chose? To be a damn teacher. So if you are that person that throws shade to teachers because they don't get to work on holidays and summer break, shut up. Because life is made of choices and you chose that. I might not know the difference between choose, and chose. That's not a word. Chosen. But I do know that you picked not to be a teacher. So you can't bitch about the vacation. Not allowed. You chose it, right? That's how I feel about nutrition and health too. Life's about choices. And if you didn't choose it, stop complaining. All right. Have a lovely day. And everyone who's in our summer accountability group, we start in like a week. Very exciting. Doors are closed. So if you did not get in, I apologize, but coaching is still open, which is even more guidance. And that is about it. Have a lovely, lovely weekend. Get out, go for a walk, enjoy nature. Don't compare yourself to anybody. And don't force feed yourself if you're pregnant. 2 lessons from today. Have a great day.